Hi guys. So today's video is going to be my June TBR, but just kind of a heads up. I'm only going to really even mention a couple of books because my husband and I are going to be moving here pretty soon, and that's really exciting but also very time consuming. It's also been very time consuming this past month, so I haven't been able to get to every book I wanted to get to last month, and I'm planning on just, you know, carrying over last month's TBR to this upcoming month in June. So I'm going to try to finish up those books and then the ones that I mention here today. The first book is one that I don't know where I put it. I mentioned it in a book haul recently, and that would be Red Sister by Mark Lawrence. This book follows some female assassins, which sounds awesome and right up my alley, and it's been recommended to me by quite a few of you. I only had some hesitations because the only thing by Mark Lawrence I'd read before was Prince of Thorns, and while I thought his writing was pretty cool, I wasn't a fan of that book. There's nothing wrong necessarily with it. It's just it was way too dark for me. I generally think that I pretty much enjoy dark fantasy, but that one, if you guys have read it, I'd say just a few pages in and you're already like, oh shoot, this is a lot. That was really though my only hesitation when thinking about reading Red Sister, but you guys totally erased that. You told me that it's not nearly as dark as Prince of Thorns and that it's a pretty awesome story, and it sounds really cool, so I'm excited to jump into that one. Next up, oh man, I am super pumped for this book because I read Scythe last month, and I am now going to read its sequel, Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. I completely understand that Scythe is one of those books that's quite hyped right now. I'd say most people who talk about it really like it, and with any book, right, not everybody's going to love it. So I know that when there's a book that's hyped and then more and more people continue to seem to jump on the hype train, it gets a little annoying, but I'm sorry, I can't help it. I am so on the hype train for Scythe. I really loved it. It takes place in a world where it's essentially a utopia now. Nobody dies, there's no war, there's nothing that really is a threat to the human race except for overpopulation. As a result, there are people called scythes who are trained to go around and kill people to prevent overpopulation from happening, which is a very dark premise, and I ate it up. It had so... okay, you'll hear me talk about it in my wrap-up. I'm not going to get into Scythe very much right now. I did do an in-depth non-spoiler book review for it, but I've heard that the sequel is pretty awesome. Some people say they think it's even better than the first one, so I am so excited for it. Next up is a book that I'm pretty embarrassed that I still haven't read yet, and that would be Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo, and the reason I'm embarrassed is not because I'm like, oh, everybody else has read it except for me. It's not anything like that. It's just that I read, what's the first one called? Six of Crows. I read Six of Crows a while ago, a long time ago, and I kept meaning to get around to this book, and I'd put it on TBRs, and I'd never read it. The first one is a heist story. I'm sure you guys already know about Six of Crows. And I did enjoy it. It took me a little bit to get into it. I think because it was so hyped up that when I first jumped into it, I was expecting it to grip me right away and for me to be just so enthralled by it. But it's a lot of flashbacks, and flashbacks are tricky because they can really pull you out of the energy that's currently going on, and I felt that way a little bit while I was reading it. But then once I got through it, and all those flashbacks really brought a lot of story to the characters and a lot of depth, I definitely liked it way more. I have heard people say that they think Crooked Kingdom is better because of the lack of flashbacks. Not that the flashbacks were bad in the first one, but it was somewhat introductory, so now that you know the characters and you know their backstories, this one just kind of moves along so much better. As lame as it is, that's kind of it for now. Those are the only books I'm going to say that I'm going to try to get around to, besides the ones from last month that I haven't finished. Even though it is a pretty small TBR, I am really excited about these books, so I think it's going to make next month's reading really enjoyable. Anyway, let me know what you guys are going to be reading this upcoming month. Let me know if you're planning on reading any of these also, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.